from Orange County, which is a very suburban place, and so I left to go to school in New York. Growing up in Southern California, I was not aware of being Asian or Vietnamese very much because everyone around me was. So I feel like I have people call it like a Southern California Asian God complex. And then when I moved to New York, people started calling me a chink on the street, and I was like on like anti-Asian attack. So that was like a whole like radicalization for me, like realizing I was just like a racial minority. I feel like I have a separate Asian American identity, and then I also have like a sub-Southeast Asian identity, and then I also identify as Vietnamese, but they all mean different things to me. When I think about like my new jails work and being Southeast Asian, like a lot of the problems that Southeast Asian people face are like being deported or they're disproportionately jailed, especially in California. So when I think about Southeast Asian identity as opposed to my Vietnamese identity, I also think about like Cambodian people who are facing the same like deportation issues or Laotian people. And when I think about Asian American identity, it's more like the anti-Asian violence that's happening in New York, or like people who aren't Asian just see every Asian as an Asian person. And in the long term, I see like my role specifically as an artist or as a writer, like helping people facilitate publications and things like that, because there's like so many good writers and artists in prison, but they don't have internet there, and so there's no way for them to connect to people, and it's very hard to like even make a messaging account. Like you have to pay money, and the process isn't something that I don't think editors would be familiar with. So mostly, I just like find people who want to submit their writing or their art, and like do that process for them. Especially because with media, like the pitching process is so confusing, but since I have that knowledge, I just like use it for other people. I used to write a lot of personal essays, but I started moving into journalism more, mostly because people will just tell me things that they want to have like people report on or that they want more attention on. So that's usually, so yeah, I use my writing now more for communications and for journalism because I think writing can have more of a material change that way. And so when I write personal essays, it's more for myself than as like a career thing. I leave the Little Italy apartment in a hurry and for a lot of reasons. The 5 roommates, the thin walls, the 6x10 room, the landlord who makes us pay in cash. But mostly I leave because of F. Chain-smoking FBI men at work who lived only a few blocks away in Chinatown. I don't remember how we became friends. Early on, I recall her making remarks about how quiet I was, and the next thing I knew, we were loitering behind the bar, sneaking spring rolls and shit-talking customers. While we play at table 8, she would say about one particular ginger-haired man. Sometimes we played a guessing game about the older men who came in with younger women, called Dad or Daddy. In the summer, she brought me custard bows from her local bakery, and in return, I brought her chocolate bars, the roast ones she liked with whole almonds. We started walking home together at the end of shifts, smoking joints and milling around parks' random stoops. I think you're my oldest friend, I told her once. Yeah, she replied, and you're hottest. F liked to call me a homebody and decided it was her job to take me out and do all the things I should experience when I was young. Late in the season, she recruited me as her plus one to a birthday party at the Blonde. It was my first time going to a club, albeit reluctantly, and we danced and took photos until she grabbed my hand and pulled me to the bathroom, leaving me through the crowd the way I had seen people do in movies. We crammed into a stall and she pulled out a baggie, almost fluorescent, under the bathroom lights. She rolled a bill from her wallet. Anything less than a 20 was too dirty, and I did my first lines of coke off her phone. As I inhaled the sharpness, I thought about how much I loved her, and I thought about all the things I would do to prove it. After I experienced everything she thought I should, we left and found a deserted street where we sat on a stoop and smoked. Maybe it was the coach talking, but she confessed that she had had an abortion when she was younger, and it was too late for her to get married and have kids. Her eyes stared into a side street that she did them at. 01, 02. Yeah, if I kept the kid, she would have been your age right now. My head felt clear, and I wanted to give F something in return for the night she gave me. I don't have a mom, I offered. She died when I was 15. F turned to stare at me, her mouth slightly open, then looked away. Well, shit. The next time we saw each other at work, F greeted me with a bow and a hug. We joked about how she danced like a hoe and who the biggest plus on staff were. It was between me, F, and Jay. F texted me news so I could help her choose which ones to send to her hookups. She was currently seeing some guy who didn't like her back, once kicked her out of his apartment at 2 a.m. and called her an addict. She started calling me about him every week, usually crying. Are you busy? Can I come over? Before I had a chance to respond, she would be standing in front of my building. We'd sit on my twin bed and do lines from the padlocked case she carried in her book bag with additional Xannies I turned down because I didn't want to prolong her stay. I always tried to soothe her as quickly as possible. I can't believe I'm crying to a kid, she would sob. I promised I had friends who just lived closest to me. Sometimes I followed up on our conversations during downtime, and she would turn to me in surprise. Oh, did I tell you that? Sorry, she shrugged. I don't remember anything when I was in bars. Other times we would brainstorm places she could take me in the neighborhood because she had grown up there. She suggested a facial salon, but I didn't believe the hogging boards was necessary. What, your mom doesn't get facials? She asked. You should tell her to take you some time. From then, I started evading F's calls as best as I could. Once, when she was crying, I lied and said I couldn't meet up because I was with a friend in Queens. It's okay, she said. I'll wait until you get back. I waited in my room for an hour, then looked around a few avenues so it appeared as if I had just gotten the train. Who are you with? She snapped when she saw me. Your little college friends? You like hanging out with them more than me? F, on the other hand, loved introducing me to her friends. She brought me to the restaurants and cafes, pointing everyone out proudly. That guy's a dealer, that guy's been in prison, and that guy's young, you can look at him. At a bar, she spotted a couple she knew and dragged me over. You guys, this is Em, this is my kid, she announced, throwing her arm around me. She introduced me that way often, and in those moments I tried really hard to live up to her expectations, to be a kid and accept her unconditionally. In Brooklyn, a 40-minute train ride from Chinatown, I unpack with the only college friend who has met F, who goes on about how she's so scary. In the corners of the restaurant, I change my work schedule and whisper with the coworkers who have known F since she was a teen. In between shifts, F stops me and says she doesn't feel loved anymore. I say I still do.